I start off with a few notes, scribbles, maybe a mind map, and then it gets down to a list, and then I start putting sentences in, yes, and I move things around, I correct my spelling, I look at the grammar, I redo it, I add things to it. I go through many, many drafts, particularly with something that's quite formal and academic, like a chapter of a book. I may go up to 12 different drafts before I get to that final one that I'm happy with. We need to allow children to do that as well. Yeah. Not to rush them through the drafting process, but actually allow them to go through that practicing, refining, getting better, clearer, and so forth. So it's time. Without rushing. And remember, I didn't learn to read until I was 7. Left-handed writer, yes. It's very hard work for him, yes. It's like you writing with your non-dominant hand, yes. It's what sort of writing, yeah. The age, so he does need more time. Writing, it's more problematic, yes. And it's significant that he's a boy, I have to say. Boys have difficulty with fine motor control until they're older. Yeah? The optimum age for a boy to learn to write is actually 6, not 4. So there's plenty of time for him still. It's very hard work for him. It's why is he doing it? Is he doing it to please his teacher? Is he doing it to please you? Or is he doing it to please himself? If he was doing it to please himself, if it was something he was interested in, then he's much more likely to stick at it and have a go, isn't he? Yeah? Rather than doing it because my teacher has required me to do it. So you need to think about what is he interested in, and perhaps he would like to write something that he's interested in. Or would he like to write to a friend or a relative, yeah? Or send you a note rather than telling you things? Yes. Yeah, it's very boring and very hard work. Mm. Yes. Yes. And doing things, writing a shopping list. We're going shopping. I want you to help me. You write down what I tell you, so that when we go shopping, you've got the list. Yes. Things that you want to buy. Yeah. What would you like as a present for your birthday? Write me a list. Then he'd write, wouldn't he? Yes. It's finding that interest, that motivation. Yeah. But we must be aware that it is such hard work. You found it hard work just writing your name, yeah? And it took you a long time. Yes. It's more difficult than that for these young children to put marks on paper that mean something. This emergent writing of scribbles, yes, is really important. If they can make marks on paper and then tell you what it says, yeah, then they're practicing all their skills that they need. You might not be able to read it, but they can. Just like my friend who's the doctor can read her own writing. Yeah, she knows what it says, and that's important, isn't it? Yeah. Joined up writing. Ooh. Big debate about do you join up writing or not. Gender's an issue. Gender is an issue about literacy. Yeah. It's not that girls are better than boys. Right? It just so happens that girls have more interest. The way that female brains are set up is more easy to actually learn those rules and skills of writing and reading. Yeah? We're fortunate if we happen to have female brains. Boys are better at other things. We're just different. Yeah? Boys are better at things like construction and the larger physical movements, far more coordinated. Yeah, it's the fine skills that they find difficult. The larger motor skills, they're better than girls are. Boys tend to walk earlier than girls do, for example. Yeah? Boys, when you capture their interest, are far more focused on something than girls are. Girls want to think about lots of things all at once. Multitask things. Yeah? They'd much rather chat with their friend while they're doing their work. Yeah? Yes, and they can do that, and they're fine doing that, but boys can't. Yes, yes. But boys are not interested in that. No, no. They're much more interested in, yes, to finish it so that I can go on and do something that's more interesting instead, like going and playing football or cricket. Yes. No, and girls are always sitting and talking. Yeah, and it's the way that brains are set up. Yeah. And we can't do much about that because that actually happens not after you're born, but before you're born, while you're still inside your mother. Your brain is forming in these particular ways. So at birth, boys' brains and girls' brains are different. Yeah? Not one is better than the other, just different. And that's, we should accept that. And there are different strategies for helping boys to become literate and to help girls become literate. But whatever you do with the girl, the chances are she will become literate eventually because her brain's already set up in that way. Right. Now, part of this is the role models that boys see around them. It's cool to be masculine, yeah? To be tough, to be good at sports, yeah? To be that role model, yes? And this, now, the video game playing, the superheroes, yeah? All of this is what small boys think they should be like. It's not all the boys think they should be like this, but the majority do, yes? And we're talking about broad brush things here. And being all these things, being the tough guy, the superhero, the good at sports, and playing brilliant video games, being competitive, right, doesn't really sit with sitting down and learning to read and write. Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah. Only initially, however, because if they are guided and their learning style is addressed, right, then we can actually support the way that that child wants to be, their identity. Right? Okay, you want to be a football player or a cricket player when you grow up. Yeah, you're really good at sport. That's fantastic. Let's write a list of all the people who are in the Pakistani cricket team. Yeah? Let's have a look at the past games and see what scores they did. Can you write me a piece about this particular cricket player and why he's so good at cricket? Becomes a boy thing then, doesn't it? Yes. Girls are not going to be interested in that. Yeah. Right. Exactly. I have 4 children. My oldest son knew the makes of cars before he could tell me their colour. So, which I found extraordinary, because I still can't tell you the make of a car. But for him, that was his interest. So it's that way of being, yeah? What that child, yeah, boy or girl, wants to be, what their identity is, and how you can support them in that identity construction, yeah, but also get them literate at the same time. So you have to accept that different children want to be different things, yeah, and have different identities. And not all girls want to grow up to be mummies or teachers. Yes, some girls do want to grow up to become engineers or astronauts or firefighters. Yeah? So we have to be aware, yeah, of the individual as well. And although we should take gender into account with developing identity, it's not the only thing. Yeah? Right. Have a go. Your turn now to do some talking. Have a go in your groups about thinking about some activities you can do in the classroom, like my idea around cricket, with boys in particular, yeah, to get them to be literate. So you might be thinking about how to get your 4-year-old son more interested in writing. Okay? Some activities, especially for boys. Boys are different. We need to address their interests. We find it really hard to teach boys, and I think we find it hard to teach boys because on the whole, early years teachers happen to be women, and we don't think like boys do. And so we find it hard to understand where they're coming from. Yeah? And it's something that we as teachers really need to address. Yeah? And we need more male teachers. Both ways of it.